we're finally getting here. It's been a long time. We've had a lot of practices all summer and fall. They give us 30 practices in the 6 weeks leading up to the game. We've got 28 under our belt, so we're going to give them tomorrow off and then go Saturday, Sunday. That's why we're meeting today. But, we're excited that the exhibition games gave us a great opportunity to see ourselves against somebody else. I think we learned some things about us. We got exposed in some different areas. Coach Morrell at UNC Asheville does a great job. If you look at their background, he's been at VCU. The pressing, we're expecting them to press us a fair amount. And I thought we struggled a little bit against Memphis, so it was good that we played Memphis. We got good looks from Wake Forest and Memphis both on different stuff. Memphis pressed us. We turned it over too much. We turned it over too much against Wake Forest. So we've got to make sure we're better against the press. Our transition D got exposed a little bit. Some of that was off our turnovers. Asheville, I think, is going to play fast. They've got some very good guards. They've got one of the fastest guards in the country, so we're going to have to get back, get our defense set. But, they've done a really good job over there. The last 2 years, they finished first and second in the league. They made the NCAA tournament 2 years ago, made it to the league championship last year. He does a good job. We're first off thankful that they're safe and functioning and able to play the game after all the devastation with the hurricane that went through there. So be nice to see them on the court. I'm sure a lot of people in that area will be nice to see them out kind of doing something. So I'll make sure we recognize that they've been through a little bit and had to have some practices moved around and kind of deal with some adversity. I'm sure they're ready to play games by this point too. But we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to the year, and it'll be a good first 3-game stretch here at home, starting with Asheville. So.
Yeah, Coach, just where do things stand with Grant, Latrell, and Aiden heading into the opener?
Yeah, so we've 4 guys have been out, haven't played in either of the exhibitions. Obviously, Youngblood's not going to be back till, at least another month and a half or so. Sometime in middle of December is what we're hoping for with him. The other 3 have all been in practice, restricted to some stuff. Probably Reitzel is probably the most furthest along, followed by Sherelle and Grant. Grant's been the one held out of more things than the other 2 so far. But, they've all done something these last 2 days in practice. We're off tomorrow, see how they recover after, today's practice. Day before game practice, and probably they'll all be game day decision. I would think Reitzel would play. That'd be my guess right now. On some type of minutes restriction for Monday, but we're hoping to have all 3 of them.
A little off topic, but I wonder if you'd had any reaction to seeing Van
building's sold out. I think the season tickets are sold out from what I've heard. Hopefully we can fill the rest of the seats and have a bunch of sellouts here. So we've got a really good team. We know that. Our guys deserve to have some attention, but, getting ranked high in the preseason and actually playing well during the season don't always correlate. We need to make sure we're ready to go because we have talent. Talent doesn't win games. Talent doesn't necessarily guarantee good basketball, but we do have talent. People are expecting us to do well based on what we've done here in the past, these last 4 years. So I would expect a lot of sellouts. Hopefully we get a lot of sellouts here, and hopefully we put a product on the floor that threes, those are the ones go in. So we've really got to do a good job keeping the ball out of the paint with our guards and do it. And I didn't think we did a good job of that against Memphis. Like, they got in the paint too much. We got put in foul trouble. They went to the free throw line all night. So, they kept driving at the free throw line. Other teams, we collapse, they spray it, we'll get threes. Like, we've got to do a better job guarding the ball. I think when you guard the ball well, how do the 8 new guys, how have they looked with the current guys? I think the older guys that have played some basketball at do it. Houston Millet's playing much different style than what they played at Pepperdine, but he's got a lot of questions he's figuring out. You look at guys like Aiden Holloway and Cliff, who have been able to play in these exhibitions and played, some pretty high-level basketball where they came from. I would say, Holloway's a little more accustomed to playing our style. Auburn took a lot of threes. He's a shooter. He's a guard. I think he's figuring out very well. You look at the way he played against Wake Forest. I think he's pretty comfortable in our system. Cliff's figuring it out. He's not we're not playing through the post as much with him like he did at Rutgers. He's having to be a ball screener, roller, play in the pocket more. He's getting better. I think he's figuring out quickly how to play with our guys. And then you look at some of the freshmen. I think Darion plays so hard. Everybody wants him to do well. Same with LeBaron plays so hard. LeBaron's done an unbelievable job figuring it out. And I think you saw it. I mean, he looked really good against Memphis. He looked really good against Wake Forest. And Nas just got to get stronger. He came in skinny. He's got super high upside. He's got to get stronger so he can play a more physical style for us. And then Aiden Sherrill's got to get healthy. But before Aiden got hurt and went out. He's been out for like a month. I thought he was really starting to come around. He's shooting the ball really well. It kind of gives us two different looks at the 5. You know, Cliff gets to the rim, rolls, puts a bunch of pressure on the rim. Aiden can really shoot it well, stretch it, can also put pressure on the rim, probably not quite at the level Cliff does. And Cliff's playing on the perimeter but can't really shoot like Aiden. So they're not the same at all, and they kind of give us two different looks, but they can both play in the offense pretty well. So I think they're playing well together. I don't think we played that well on offense, and we put up 98, 96 points in the 2 exhibition games. So I think you can see guys starting to figure out how we want to play. I mean, we're playing fast, we're getting up and down the floor, and we're scoring some points.
Within the context of how talented this roster is and maybe the challenge of distributing the minutes, I'm sure that produces a lot of competition day in and day out.
And you got a bunch of talented guys, like it's going to be a problem because the guy that's playing for them, they don't like them. Now it's an issue. With this team, they do a great job. I think they've done a really good job connecting, building it with each other. They hang out with each other off the court. So when they're on the bench and the guy in the game, I think you're going to see a lot of mudita, if you will, like we used that word last year. It's on our Final Four ring. I think some guys that maybe don't play as many minutes in a particular game, somebody else plays really well. I think that they'll have some guys super happy and happy, proud of them. So I think that's good. Now, we're still in some talks with some of the guys that maybe we redshirt a guy or two because it's going to be impossible to play 13 guys in the rotation. That doesn't happen. So whether you end up with, 8, 9, 10 guys, some of the guys that maybe have separated themselves or some other guys, maybe they save a year, redshirted, play when maybe we're not as deep or whatever. So we're going to have those discussions. But I think the practice intensity's been high. I think guys know they're going to have to compete for minutes. But I think they're doing it to make each other better. I mean, we get after it in practice pretty hard. I think they're all under the same pretense that we're all here to make each other better and to get the program better. So I'm going to compete really hard with them, but it's making us both better. And you know what? If some guys got to give up some minutes for us to be a better team, and we've talked about it in the past, a lot of these guys, the higher level guys, are trying to play in the NBA, and we're going to have a fair amount of these guys, I think, get a chance to play in the NBA. We've got a pretty talented roster. The NBA is not looking for guys to play 30, 35 minutes and be inefficient in their minutes. Josh Primo averaged 8 points a game here, win the lottery. Noah Clowney didn't average double figures, win 21st in the draft, and they both did really well, when they got in. Herb Jones was never thirsty for points or minutes. I mean, Herb Jones sat on the bench and told me to keep guys in and let him keep sitting because we're going on a run, and kept playing well. Herb walked in and started right away as a rookie. I think some of these guys got to understand the NBA is looking for efficiency in your minutes, not high minutes. They're looking for efficiency in your shots, not high shot attempts. So I think knowing that, and then the fresher you are through the course of the game, you're not really making dumb mistakes that'll kind of dock you, if you will, as some of the NBA teams look at them. We're going to try to keep guys fresh. Cliff's not going to play as many minutes here as he did again at Rutgers. Like, we play faster. He's going to get tired. We're going to have to get him out. We want to keep him fresh. We don't want to we don't want to get him in foul trouble or just making some silly mistakes because he's tired. And he's not going to be the only one. There's going to be a lot of guys. Let's get you in for 2-3 minutes. Let's get you out. Let's keep you really fresh so you can play well through the course of the game. But like you said, practice intensity's been high. They're pushing each other. They all know we're pushing each other to make us all better, and I think it's definitely made us better, all summer, fall, and then in the preseason.
Yeah, you kind of touched on what I was going to ask a little bit, but just with the red shirts, you mentioned Nas being somebody that you wanted to get stronger. Is he kind of one of the people you're looking at, and what do you kind of do to kind of make those decisions? What goes into making that decision?
We haven't made the decisions yet, but that it would make sense for a guy like that, just because he's going to have to get a lot stronger tougher. His upside's really high. If he can get tougher physically, put on 15 pounds, 6'8" guards that shoot it at the level he shoots it at are tend to be pros. But, he's just got to get a little in his intensity level on a consistent basis throughout practice. We got to keep working on him. I mean, there's days he looks like he should be in the NBA, but it's just got to get a little more consistent. So, he's probably a candidate we're going to talk to about it, but I don't – the redshirt thing's not something that just we decide. Like, that's got to be because guys can decide, like, no, I want to fight for my minutes, even if I'm not going to play that many minutes. If it's going to be single-digit minutes or possibly no minutes, I still just want to fight to play. So it's got to be a two-way deal. Like, we think maybe it'd be smart because and here's the other thing. If we don't have a plan for you here, it doesn't make much sense to redshirt you either. Like Chris Parker last year, he ended up leaving, but if I didn't really care about Chris, I would have taken him off his red shirt when we had when Charlie was hurt and we had all the injuries in February, because he definitely could have helped us. He significantly improved through the course of the year. Now, he's at Villanova. I think it looked to me like he'd played fairly well in at least one of their exhibitions. I saw a box score. I think some of these guys, if you don't have the pressure playing in a game, you can get in the weight room on a game day. Day before practice, you don't have to make sure your legs are up under you, super fresh for the game. You can get a lot of extra work in. There's a lot of stuff you can do if you don't have the pressure of making sure you're mentally, physically rested and explosive for the game. There's a lot you can do on a game day and the day before a game that the rest of the guys really can't do. And I think Chris took advantage of that and got a lot better. Again, like I said, if I didn't, I would have loved to keep him around here. I just, it's hard sometimes. And I think Chris is going to be a really good player, and I think we did what was right by him and not take him off his red shirt, because especially with the, looks like the rev share is coming, or with the NIL, with all that going on right now, however they end up getting it, there's a lot of money in college basketball. So for a guy to maybe be able to have a fifth year to play in college basketball instead of, hopefully these guys make the NBA, but if they don't make the NBA, I think they'd rather be in college basketball their fifth year than maybe going to Europe that year. So I think you're doing what's right by the individual sometimes and redshirting them as well.
Jaron talked about coming back to win a national championship. Darion talked about watching the Final Four last year and wanting to win a national championship. So this team's not shying away from championship talk. So, but preseason, kind of how do you balance, okay, yeah, that's our goal at the end of the year is a national championship, but it starts with winning games now?
Yeah, I like the fact that they've got big goals. I don't think we want guys that are selling themselves short. I think we've got the talent. That's what we should be talking about. But, you look at UConn's won the last two. You look at the first one they won, I think they maybe lost, and I don't want to say this incorrectly. Somebody could probably correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe 5 of 7 games in a stretch there in January or something. There's lots of things that happen through a season that make you better to get you to the point you can win. Nobody thought UConn was going to win a national championship when they were losing the games that they did, whether it was late January or whatever it was. There's going to be teams that put themselves in the mix to win a national championship that nobody's talking about right now. People are talking about us. If we want to stay in that conversation, we've got to get better every game. So we got to come ready to go to first game. We've also talked about getting our defense back to where we had it. 2 of the previous 3 years, we were 3rd in the country in defensive efficiency. And then last year, I think, what did we finish, 112th, I think, or 111th? It wasn't good, whatever it was. It was awful. So we've talked about getting our defense back up to one of the best defenses in the country. Well, those efficiency numbers count on the first game. So just like we were trying to make it like they counted in the exhibitions. Well, we held Memphis to a .67, which would have been number 1 defense in the country. The first half. Second half, totally, it about doubled from that. So, against Asheville, Arkansas State, McNeese, who are all very good teams. Asheville's been in the tournament, finished in the top 2 the last 2 years. Arkansas State's picked to win their league. I believe McNeese is. They picked to win their league too, I believe. Like these three teams are all very good. Like the efficiency numbers that we're trying to get on the defensive side. Made big strides last year. You look at our first game against Clemson here, he looked like he still was in high school. You look at our last game against Clemson, he grew up. Like he turned 19 this month of my freshman year in college. He turned 18 his freshman year in college. Like he legitimately should have been a senior in high school last year. So this should be his freshman year.
Learn anything in the exhibitions as far as lineup combinations and different ways that you can use people there?
Yeah, a little bit. It's just, we were missing 4 guys. Hopefully we get 3 of those back by Monday. We're definitely gathering data for our analytics based on all the different lineups those 2 games. So, we